Okay. All right, so we will start. I'm going to show you how to be an action hero of your own life. So, not an action hero with capes or masks or tights, but an action hero who can overcome procrastination, build stronger habits, and be more focused so you can be more efficient and effective with your life. So, I haven't always been an action hero. So let me tell you just a little bit about me, because why would I tell you how to be an action hero if I'm not? So, Ellen Goodwin, I'm a productivity expert, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, founder of the Shift Mastermind, and I'm a co-host of a podcast called the Faster, Easier, Better Show, and I'm a full-time action hero. But I wasn't always an action hero. A few years ago, my business, I used to run a graphic design business, and about 7 years ago, went down the procrastination hole very, very hard, almost lost my business because I wasn't getting things done. So at that point in time, I started to look at what caused procrastination, why I was having issues, and everything led back to our good friend, the brain. So it's all, everything I talk about is neuroscience based, because that's where it all starts, in the brain. So, squishy brain. So now I help businesses and individuals be efficient, be effective, be productive with their lives. So tonight I'm going to share lots of stuff with you, and then when we're done, we'll just do a Q&A. So this won't be as fancy as if I was standing up on stage. It'll just be much more casual. So if something comes up too, if you want to just stop me and go, hey, I don't get that, please do that. So first thing is, I always ask, what is your favorite motion hero? There's no such thing as a motion hero. There's only action heroes, right? There's a big difference, a very important difference between action and motion. And I'm just going to backtrack. On your sheet here, on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of apps, and we'll talk about those. They just supplement what I talk about. I'm not affiliated with any of them. They're just things I like and I use. So, and they're helpful. So, just wanted you to know what those were. It's not like I'm like, hey, you should buy these. Most of them are free. So, yeah. So the difference between action and motion, and that's essential in understanding how to be an action hero, how to get things done. So motion, a hamster on a wheel, that's in motion, lots of motion. If you're sitting in a rocking chair, that's lots of motion, but there's nothing being advanced. You're just moving. And action means you are moving towards a final product, a final activity, a final task. It's a little bit like football. You keep moving yourself forward towards the goal line. So that is action. So let's say I wanted to clean my office because there's just stacks of papers everywhere. If I'm in action, I pick up a stack of papers, I start going through them, I file them, I throw them away. If I'm in motion, I get on Pinterest and I start looking at really cute office designs, and then I go to the Container Store and I get something really cute that I can put stuff in. I haven't done anything. To my brain, I have, because the brain can't differentiate between action and motion, and so you have to really stop yourself and go into action. Same thing with working out. I could make a list of all the things I'm going to do at the gym and put it on my calendar and all of this, and my brain thinks I've done something, and I haven't done a thing. My muscles have not been moved, nothing has happened. So come on in, come on in. I'm Ellen, there's worksheets. We're talking about the difference between action and motion, and why it's important so you haven't missed a whole bunch.
Okay. So we were at professional development.
You were what?
We were at a professional development.
Oh, no worries. No, you've got your names on and everything. Wait, we knew you were going to be late. These are the ones that were going to. Yes. Okay. Yes. So we're talking the difference between motion and action, and like hamsters are in motion on a wheel. If you wanted to work out, get healthier. If you just made up a plan and scheduled it, that's motion. being in action is you're actually moving your muscles, and you need to always be in action. There are times you need to plan, and there's a few of the things we'll talk about tonight that do have some motion components to it, but it's so important for you to come back to the action part. Okay, any questions on that? All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is procrastination. So, how many of you have ever procrastinated?
Procrastinate answering that.
Maybe procrastinated today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about 4 different types of procrastination. And the first one is called low value, low priority. It's when you procrastinate on things that are low value, low priority. In my world, cleaning falls onto that. You know, it's like low priority. Oh my God. I had someone in a workshop where I'm like, what's really low priority? And she said ironing. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even own an ironing board. So it's just like, well, yeah, that's like low value. But we all have things that are low priority, low value. What can you think of some that you've got, either at home or work, that you just like, oh, you know?
Gardening.
What's that? Gardening. Like, you know, I need to go have my tires rotated. It's like oil change, yeah. Things like, you know, they're like, they need to be done. What was that?
Gas until it's
That's, yeah, there you go. So low priority, low value. We've got these and we just, you know, we put them off. And so the easiest way to work with those is to set a limit. And that's like set a time limit or a quantity limit. I don't know that this would work for your gas one. It would, in a way. So you're gonna set a time limit or a quantity limit. Let's say it's cleaning. Okay, I need to clean the bathroom. So what you do is you're gonna set a timer. And you can use it on your phone. You can. I just have hundreds of these all over. You know, it's just you set a timer and you hear it ticking, and you just clean for that amount of time. Maybe it's just 10 minutes. Okay, I'm cleaning for 10 minutes. Or you set a quantity limit. Let's say you have to clean out the garage. Okay, that's just a sucky job. So I would say I'm going to just clean until I've gone through 2 boxes. That's it. So I've got 10 minutes, 2 boxes, whatever. So I've set a time limit or a quantity limit, and then you just go. It's no longer subjective, it's objective. You set this timer, you set this quantity, and you just get started. But here's the thing that happens. 9 times out of 10, once you hit your limit, even though you technically can stop, you'll keep going. This is because of a cognitive bias we all have called the Zeigarnik effect. And the Zeigarnik effect basically says that once you've started a task, your brain wants that task to be finished, so you have task tension. And your brain hates tension. So it wants the tension to go away. That means it wants a complete loop. So that's why your brain hates cliffhangers, like TV shows. You're watching Netflix, and all of a sudden, you know, the show ends, and it's like a cliffhanger, and you're like, okay, I'll watch the next one. Your brain wants to always have a complete loop. So you use that to your benefit when you set a timer or you set a limit. A time limit or a quantity limit. So you just get going and use that power. I'm going to go to the gym for 10 minutes. I'm going to work out for 10 minutes. Once you get going, you keep going until you got it done.
What is it called again? Zeigarnik effect? Is it Zeigarnik?
Oh, Zeigarnik.
Oh, Zeigarnik.
Zeigarnik. Zeigarnik. Bella Zeigarnik, who was a Ukrainian researcher. That's why she got the benefit of the name. So it's really excellent when you do like ABCs and XYZs of productivity, because you've got a Z, always have a Z. It's a Zeigarnik effect. So, so the second type of procrastination, any questions on that first one? I mean, if you do, you can always write them down and we'll come back to them. The second type is fear-based procrastination. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of not knowing what comes next or not knowing how to do something. I put off my website for the longest time because I didn't know how to do it. you know, and I knew that I would break the whole inner webs if I did it, right? So fear of failure. So we all have these fear-based things. Fear of failure. If I do this, everyone's gonna know I can't do stuff, or I'll just screw it up. Fear of success, which is an odd one, but it's true. You've got people that they won't write that book. They won't try and get a new job. They won't do things because what if they succeed and it's a lot more work? Or then people find out they're a fraud, or, you know, all these things bubble up, and then not knowing how to do things. So we've got those three kinds of procrastination. Can anyone think of like an example that they've had? You know, fear of success, failure, not knowing what comes next. Going to the doctor. People put off going to the doctor because fear of what they're gonna find out. That's a big one. We have all this fear-based stuff, so we put it off. And I know everyone's in their head, they're going, oh yeah, there's that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done that. So, easy way to do this is what we call succeed early and succeed often. Succeed early and succeed often. And that means taking whatever it is that you're afraid of, whatever that task is, and just breaking it down into the littlest, tiniest bits that you can, so that you do that first bit and you get a little bit of success, and your brain gets a little hit of dopamine, you are excited. And so then you want to do the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. So you just break it down. So instead of looking at that huge thing, oh my God, what if I wrote a book and I was a success? Well, let's break it down. Perhaps you should open your computer and start. So, you know, don't get ahead of yourself. Just do that one little step. I had a client she was in one of my mastermind groups, and she was procrastinating on taking a trapeze class. Which, yes, fun. I mean, it's fun. I've done that. But she paid for the classes, and other things would after she did the trapeze, you know, it was a starting point for other things. But she was afraid because she didn't know what went on. She didn't know what went on in the class, so she wouldn't book the time. So the first step was, well, let's find out. So we just YouTube and watched YouTube videos of what goes on in classes. And once she had that down, then it was an easy next step to make the appointments, and then from there and on, she did classes for 6 months and loved them. So it's like, you know, what you don't know, somebody else knows. So in cases like that, you know, that small step. But take whatever you have, break it down into this next step, the next step, and the next step, and succeed on the little steps one at a time. Okay, the third type of procrastination is distractions, or I call them shiny squirrels, because they're everywhere. And they are the number one reason we procrastinate, because we are easily distracted. Now, on the left side of your worksheet, there's some blockers up on the side that you can use to block your computer, your phones, things like that. Because we have these distractions. We have our computers, we have our phones, we have our tablets, we have our family, our friends, our coworkers. We have 27 shows lined up on Netflix that we just want to watch and don't care about anything else. We've got all of this stuff. So we need to get over our distractions so that we don't procrastinate. Now, the best way to do that is to have accountability. So today's Thursday, right? So let's say Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, you're on a plane up to LA because you're going to Fiji. You're flying off to Fiji for the week, so that's pretty awesome. But between now and 8 o'clock on Saturday, you've got a lot of stuff to get done. You've got packing, you've got to get the dog to the dog sitter, you've got to clean out the fridge, you've got to do all these things. So you don't have time to just get on Facebook and screw around. You don't have time to watch a couple shows. You've got all these things to do. That airplane is holding you accountable to getting your stuff done. So what you need in your life is an airplane, but not a real airplane, but you need something that is holding you accountable. And one of the best ways to do that is to have an accountability partner. And it doesn't have to be a formalized partnership. I have an accountability partner and we do talk every day. But it could be as simple as having a coworker and you say to them, I have to get this done. Would you check on me tomorrow and make sure I did it? And then you have to come back and say, yeah, I did it, or wow, you know what? Went out for drinks, didn't get to it, watched some TV, It makes it really hard to not get things done. I've done it when I just wanted to unclutter the house, and my goal was every day I had something that had to be uncluttered, and I would jump out of bed at 10 o'clock at night going, I forgot to do that, because I knew the next day someone was asking. So it's simple. You get someone, a coworker, a friend. Don't get your family. Do not get anyone in your family to be your partner, because there's too much. There's too many layers of things there. So you want somebody that's kind of disinterested party, basically. That's not, it's not your mom. Moms are really bad accountability partners. So you get someone to hold you accountable. Or the second way you can do it is you can pump that up just a little harder, higher, and do something that's called put your money where your mouth is. And basically what this means is you have one person that you tell them what you need to do. So usually this works best if you've got a project or something that's going to take a little while to get done, a week, 2 weeks. And you tell this person what it is you need to get done, when you're going to get it done by, and then you put a certain amount of money towards it. $100, $250, $500. You write the check, you pledge the money, and if you don't get your task done, all that money doesn't go to that person. That money goes to an organization, a political party, a religious organization that you do not believe in.
What's that?
Somebody that you would just die if your friends knew that you gave them money. So I had a writer in one of my mastermind classes who needed to get a book draft done. And she's this lovely older woman, and it was like, you've got 2 weeks and the draft has to be done. And she's like, I can't get it done. And so we did put your money where your mouth is, and I was her partner. And she put $250 down, and this was last January, so it was before all this stuff blew up. But she was going to have to give the money to the KKK.
Oh, God.
And she was horrified. Every time I talked to her in the 2 weeks, she was just horrified at the idea. So did she get it done? You bet she got it done. It's the most effective way to get things done. Whoa. So yeah, that's how
Why did you call me out?
whoa. Does Wes have problems with this? Getting things done? So that's a great way to overcome distractions. A couple other easy ways that aren't so traumatic and you can use on a daily basis. If you find that there's things that you get distracted by easily, let's say your phone, and you just, you pick it up and boom, you go to your favorite apps. Every time you come out of that app, get out of it, log out of it, and make sure your password is long and involved so that when you try and get back, you have to really think about it. So the idea is that you make it 20 seconds harder. That's it, because if you can make it 20 seconds harder, you're less likely to do it. I work out of my house, and if there's ever chocolate in the house, it's a problem. So to make it 20 seconds harder, I wrap it in foil, put it in a Ziploc bag, bury it in the freezer. So it's 20 seconds harder, so I have the time to think, it's not automatic. So you make your things 20 seconds harder. If you talk on the phone, if you're one of those people that's terrible about grabbing the phone when you're driving, put it in a zipped pouch in the back seat. You could get to it, but you might cause an accident. But it's 20 seconds harder. Are you a phone talker?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh.
uh-oh.
But it's a Bluetooth phone.
Oh, well, that's different. I'm talking,
Oh.
I see, I see people all the time, they're still doing this, and I'm like, that's not hands-free, oh, it's this one. Because it's no, it's not hands-free, it's just not close to your face. So make it 20 seconds harder. So that's the third type, okay? So we've got distractions. All right, any questions on distractions?
Does that work with iPhone, with the password?
What's that?
Does that work with iPhone?
With the password?
Yeah, the add password that you're talking about?
Well, you can do, so with I don't know about the new ones, because I haven't gotten a new one, but, you can do the 4, or you can make the 6, you could make it, harder to do. There's a guy,
Oh, like the
that when you do the login, you could make it that way. There's a guy, James Clear, he's a writer and productivity guy, and especially when he's working on a lot of stuff, his assistant takes his phone and his computer on Monday and changes all his passwords for like Facebook and any of the social medias. And if he does his work, he gets the passwords on Friday. So he's got like Monday through Friday. That's so what?
We'll give you all our passwords.
So, that's a way to do it too. I mean, that's a drastic, but it's effective because he can't do it. So, you figure out a way to make it harder for yourself so that you can get more done. I use, it's on here, self-control on a Mac, and it's great because you just you don't like it? I love it. So, you pick what you don't want to be able to get into, you set your time, and, it just relaxes me. I'm like, okay, I can't do it, so for right now, I'm getting all this done. So I think I personally love it. I've actually done it, I know when I have things that have to be done the next day, I will set it before I leave at the end of the day, and I'll set it for like 20 hours. So it's not coming on, until like 2 o'clock the next day. So yeah, get things done. So the fourth way we overcome, fourth type of procrastination is when things are too far down the road. And these are things like big projects that you're trying to get done. Maybe it's trying to lose 20 pounds, get in shape, write a book. There's just, numerous things. You want to go back to school, you want to change jobs. All these things, nothing happens overnight. So these are way down the road. And the problem is that because they're like way down over there, it's really hard to see them every day and see the effect of what you do or you don't do each day and how it's going to affect you. So that is a type of procrastination. So if I want to lose 20 pounds, it's important what I eat today is just important as what I eat tomorrow and the day after and the day after. So it's called the present day bias. Again, it's a cognitive bias that we have. And that means we can see ourselves today, but we can't see ourselves tomorrow. It's the basis of the whole idea of, I'll give you $1 today or $2 tomorrow. And most people will take $1 today because they can see themselves today, they can't see themselves tomorrow. So the key is to keep ourselves in the present day bias. And the best way to do that is to make your goal concrete and chart it down. Somehow you are going to keep track every day, or if it's something you have to do every week, you're going to keep track of it. Jerry Seinfeld has a thing called Don't Break the Chain. And he has, a big year calendar with all the days on it. And every day that he works on writing, he puts a red X. And the next day he writes, he puts another red X. By the end of the week, he has a chain of red X's. And the whole idea is that you never have a day where you don't have a red X. James Clear, who I talked about, he took it a step farther and he says, never have 2 days without red X's. Because, one day, it's sort of okay, but 2, that's a problem. That's when problems start. So you can chart it down like that. Food diaries for people losing weight. They have shown that that is like one of the best ways for people to lose weight because It makes it clear every day, every meal, what you are doing is important. Friends of mine had a lot of credit card debt, so they needed to obviously get rid of that. So that's something you don't see every day. You know, you write the check, you punch the button, 20th of the month, whatever your date is. So it's a once a month thing, so you don't really think of it. So in order for them to make it work, they had to think of it every single day. So we made a big chart, and on the one end was a super high number, which is how much money they owed. The end was 0. And then we marked it down month by month, what we thought, you know, they'd pay each month and how it would go down. And then they took the chart and put it on the living room wall so that they saw it every single day. In the first couple months they did, you know, they wrote their check, they put the money in, and they marked it down and it went down. But because they saw it every single day, they started to think about ways that they could do things every day. One less coffee at Starbucks. Let's make dinner tonight. Saving more money so that they were putting more money in each month, paying it off, and they paid it off 6 months ahead of time. And then they turned around and made a new chart, and that one started with a 0 and had a high number, and they did the same thing only with savings, and they bought a house. So it's just putting it in front of you so that you see it every single day. P90X does that with working out. They, you know, besides the CDs and DVDs and all the stuff, you get a big calendar. And it says what you're going to do each day, and you're supposed to mark it off so that you see it every day. So when you've got things that are way too far down the road, figure out how to make it concrete and chart it down. So those are your 4 types of procrastination. So any questions on those before we roll into magic things? Okay, we're going to talk about focus. And focus is the superpower. It's the super magic power, because once you have focus and you understand how it works, it can change everything. So you don't have to raise your hand because you guys work together, but I know everyone's done this. You're looking at your computer screen, you're checking emails, phone rings, you answer the phone, you keep checking the emails, and you keep talking on the phone. Like 2 minutes later, you don't know what you're reading or what you're listening to because you can't answer it. So what you're doing right there is context shifting. You're going from reading to listening and speaking and back and forth. So if your brain was your house or your apartment or your condo, you can only read when you're in the living room. That's the part of your brain. That room is where you read. And you can listen and talk in the bedroom. But you can't do these 2 things at once in one room. So you have to go into the bedroom to talk and listen, and you have to be out in the living room to read. And each time you go back and forth, it takes a little time, and you use up a little energy. Ideally, your brain doesn't want to use up energy. You want to stay in one room, and that is basically what focus is. It's staying in one room for a period of time so that you can get things done. So context shifting, multitasking, whatever you want to call it, it drains your brain. You've only got so much willpower at any time during the day, and anytime you drain it, it makes it harder to make good decisions. So you always want to keep as much energy as you can, stay in one room. So how do we overcome problems like that? Context shifting, we focus. And when we super focus, we get things done because the brain can put all its power towards the one thing you're doing. Okay, I know there's something I wanted to tell you about. Oh, this is it. People always say, I don't have time. I don't have time to focus. I don't have hours to focus. That's the best part. You don't need it. Your brain cannot focus for 8 hours straight because you will just go crazy. If you can knock out 1 to 2 hours of deep focus during the day, it will make a huge difference in your life, in your work, in your home, whatever you need to focus on. So how do you do that? It's pretty easy. We're gonna go back to our timers. These timers are awesome for this. You don't have to use one like this, but you can use your phone. So the Pomodoro method, I don't know if anybody's heard of that. Pomodoro method, so it's named after a timer that looks like a tomato, and this one does not. And what it is you set your timer for 25 minutes, you work solid, 25 minutes, you work on one thing, you ignore everything else, you don't take any breaks, and when you're done, you give yourself a little reward for 5 minutes, and then you set the timer again, and you go for 25 minutes, and then a 5-minute break. So you've knocked out 50 minutes of the hour focusing on one thing. Now the best thing is to block things on your computer. If you need to go away from anything that's distracting, do that. But you work on that 25 minutes super focused on whatever you're doing. A variation on that is called the 10 plus 2 times 5. 10 plus 2 times 5. And while it's not a math equation, it is a way to get a lot done. So this one, I actually have it listed down here. Seconds Pro is an app that I use for that. Just to use it for the timing. So what happens is I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Then I will take a 2-minute break, and I'll do that 5 times during an hour. And again, you get the 50 minutes of really good work, but you get it in 10-minute intervals. And the reason I use the Seconds Pro is it has an interval timer on it, which sounds like boxing rounds. And so this bell goes off, and you work for 10 minutes, and then the bell goes off again, and you got 2 minutes, and then it's like start. So you've got 10 minutes just to work as hard as you can. This works great for me for writing ideas, blog posts, newsletter articles for people, just 10 minutes. And then you take a 2-minute break. Usually I get up, walk around. It's always good to do the opposite of what you were doing if you're focusing. So if you're doing mental work, you're writing, you're reading, you're researching, then your break should be something physical. So it should be walking around, jumping jacks, private dance party, I don't care. Move your body. But if you're doing physical things for your focus time, then the opposite should happen. You should read for your break, or you do a crossword puzzle, or do something that involves your mental side. So you can do the timing. Pomodoro method, 10 plus 2 times 5. And the other one that works really well is batching. And batching means that you take a certain amount of time and you do only one type of thing. So it doesn't have to be just one thing, whereas like with the timing, with the focus, the Pomodoro, let's say writing, I'm just writing. And that's all I'm focusing on one thing I'm writing, and that's it. But if I'm batching, I might be focusing on a bunch of different types of writing, but that's it. I'm not reading. Or I'm going to take a 30-minute batching thing and I'm just going to read. I'm going to read some blog posts I put aside. I'm going to read some articles. I'm going to read something for researching. But again, my brain is staying in one room. So batching means you just take one type of thing, set a timer, and work on that. John Lee Dumas, I don't know if anybody knows, he does a podcast called Entrepreneur on Fire. And he puts out a new podcast every day. He interviews someone for every day. But here's the key. He batches the hell out of that. On the 1st and 2nd of every month, he does 15 interviews. He lines up all of his interviews for those first 2 days. For 15 on one day, 15 on the second day. So he gets 30 interviews done in 2 days. Boom, that is out of the way. He's got the rest of the month to do all the other stuff that he does in his business. So that's some extreme batching. But he's in the zone the whole day. He's just, it's only interviewing. I'm just interviewing people. I'm not writing anything. I'm not having to talk to, figure out accounting or anything like that. He's just doing one thing. So he's super efficient. His brain is locked in one room. So that's the way we really focus, is you just by locking yourself in one room in your brain. So focus will move you forward so fast. Another way you can focus, but it's in another side and it just helps your brain, is meditation, of course. Everybody, everything, I swear, that's the answer to everything, meditate. Got a sore foot, meditate. So meditation's another great way for focusing, but timing and batching, just really knock it out of the park. So those are, focus and overcoming procrastination are two of the major ways that you can be action hero. Get more done, you can be more efficient, you can be more effective. And this is the part where I go, hey, questions. I will tell you though, I'll send this around. Hansel had asked about, I have a 21-day productivity challenge. It's more of not so much a challenge, but a productivity class it's an email. So every day for 21 days, you get a different way to be productive. So if you're interested, I'll get your emails and I'll get you signed up for that. It's a free thing. So I'm happy to share that with you. And you have all my contact information on the bottom of your sheet, so you're always welcome to get a hold of me and say, hey, I have a question, or somebody has a question for you. So at this point, you guys, if you have questions, I'm all yours and I can talk to you about anything. I don't know how long you want me here. Any questions in like your own life or anything I talked about tonight that might not make sense? I mean, I know you guys are jealous of this, so, and my squishy brain, so these are important things. All your procrastination starts right here in your midbrain. In your amygdala, it's all in your limbic system, so that's where all your emotion is.
It's like a little bit out of topic, but I was watching this TED Talk. I think his name was Adam Grant, I think.
Adam Grant,
Yeah, the author of Originals. So,
yes.
Yeah, I think he was actually like big fan of procrastinations because like it's like giving you creativity if you're doing it last minute.
If you do, well, yeah, there are people that do. There's debate on whether last minute is actually as good as you could be, but there's also the thing to worry about. Like, let's say you had 2 weeks to do a creative project. I don't know what it is. You're going to design the best new dresser ever. I don't know. I'm just picking something weird. So you got 2 weeks. Well, chances are you're going to do it the 2 days before, right? Because that's what people do. I'm not picking one. But there's a thing called Parkinson's Law, and Parkinson's Law says that a task expands to fill the time available for it. So in your case, you may have taken those 2 weeks and I'm coming up with ideas and I'm doing this. Because you take and you fill the amount of time that you're given, you do end up doing that because that's a project that you could knock out in 2 days, probably. But because you don't have to, you just waste the time until you get it. I mean, we've all done this at home. Where like, okay, I've got to get this done for something. And you could do it in 15 minutes, but you've got 3 hours, and so it ends up taking 3 hours. It's not like you focused on it for 3 hours, but you dilly-dallied around. Oh, you started doing this, and then, oh, I should go do this. And I only speak from experience here, because perhaps I've done this. But Parkinson's Law says that you will expand to fill the time that you have available. So that's why it's great if you have something and you just go, hey, I've got a half an hour. You set that timer and you go and you'll knock it out. Productive procrastination is another one you probably heard of. That it's just, some people argue for productive that it is good to waste time on things because your brain will think about them. And I will agree with creative things. It's an excellent one to do, but I can't really say I love procrastination. It's not what we say here. Any other questions? Yes?
The sleep habit to procrastination, like how early you wake up, because I feel like days that I wake up later and then
I hear you. So having good sleep patterns is like key for everything. Good brain health is what really helps you on all of this. Is the better you do when your brain is firing on all cylinders, when you've gotten a good night's sleep. We've all had those nights where we didn't sleep good, and the next day you're a little draggy and you're not really doing well. And that will lead to procrastination. That leads to, not wanting to do things. So in that case, that's when it's awesome to just, give yourself a limit or set the timer and work for 10 minutes, because you're not going to make yourself do it. So if you make it an objective thing, why setting a timer or telling someone you're going to do it? It's out of your body at that point. It's someone else's, it's subjective. So sleeping is a good thing. You want sleep. I was trying to think, something came into my mind as I was talking about that, and then I lost it. So that's why I kind of made that face. I was like, yes, excellent. It'll come back to me. So yes, sleeping, such a great thing to do. Big fan. I know it's hard. Just like, people always talk about having morning rituals that, you get up and I do all this, which is great, because if you have a ritual, you're not using any energy, any brain willpower. So you don't get decision fatigue. So I actually did a live today about decision fatigue. And every decision you make drains your brain just a little bit, and it doesn't matter if it's a big decision or it's a little decision. Your brain draining your brain, and so if you've made a lot of little decisions, it's hard to make a bigger decision. When you're at a restaurant and you have gone through the menu and keep going like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? You're using up your brain energy, and it makes it harder for you to say no when they bring that basket of chips or bread, because you've made these decisions and all of a sudden you don't have the energy to go, oh yeah, no. Or dessert, you're like, yeah, I should have dessert. So yeah, it happens in everything. In the morning, if you have to make all these decisions, you're like, am I wearing those shoes or am I wearing these shoes? Am I having cereal or am I having eggs? Am I gonna work out? Am I not? How am I getting to work? You're making all these decisions and you don't really notice that you're using up your brain energy. It's not like if I go and work out, I'm exhausted. Okay, I got that. I'm drained. But you don't see, we need a little thing on our brain that says, like a gas gauge that says, oh, you're out. Because we don't know it, and all of a sudden we are making bad decisions, and we've all spent time with family, friends, coworkers that make us crazy, and you spend all this energy trying not to say things you're not supposed to, or act out, and you're making decisions like, okay, nope, I'm not talking. I get this with my mother, and I'm not, okay, I'm not, okay, and then by the time, I've been with her for a while, and it's like, I should eat something now, and it should be really bad, because I have nothing that's going to block me from it, because I've used up all of my mental willpower. So decision fatigue is a huge thing. One of my favorite ways to overcome that, especially when this is a food one, but you can do it for anything, is to make your decisions binary. To make your decisions binary. Let's say my husband comes home from work and he's like, what's for dinner? And so we just make binary decisions. Are we eating in or out? Okay, we're gonna eat out. Are we going to someplace where we sit down, or are we, just picking it up? We wanna sit down. Okay, expensive or just mid-range? Mid-range. Okay, Italian or Chinese. So we just there's two choices at any time. Rather than going, where do you want to go? I don't know, where do you want to go? By that time when you decide, arguments, right? Arguments come up because it's like, because you used up all your energy making decisions. So I don't know how I got off on that, but yeah, that's so morning, I know, with sleep. So morning rituals are really good for doing that, but evening rituals are just as important to get to bed on time, so that you can get the good sleep, so you make the good decisions, so you don't procrastinate.
Do you have a morning ritual?
I do. I'm up at 5. I know. I'm up at 5. I read and write for about an hour. Then I meditate, and I work out, then I get breakfast, and then I start working. Even though I've been working, you know, all my reading and writing is work related. It helps. My husband has to be out the door at 6, so, you know, he's already up. He doesn't like me moving around, which is perfect, so I can just sit in bed and read. But yeah, I know people are like, no, you should be out of bed. And I'm like, no, you should just do what works for you, as long as you're not snoozing. So, yeah, it's knowing you know, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, so there's no, wow, what should I do next? So, that's the key, is knowing what you're going to do next in any time, because your brain will always jump in and say, ooh, Netflix, you know. If you give your brain a chance it will fill the void, and it's probably not a good thing. So, yeah, you always kind of want to know what comes next. Anything? Yeah.
I've
Wes?
seen, yeah. It's actually not my name. No, it is. I've seen that research suggests some people are more innately functional in the morning, and some are more innately functional at night. And like,
Absolutely.
it can be trained, but I think I've given up and decided that I'm just more productive at night.
And you know what? And that's the key, is knowing when you're productive,
Yeah.
because there's no point in, you know, it's slamming your head against the wall. I'm productive in the morning. I know this. By 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I'm still can do things, but I don't do anything creative. I don't do, you know, that's the time I'm going to do just menial things. That's when you're gonna catch me. If I ever gonna do it, I'd be like, oh, I should just scroll the internet, because that's the time where I am not rocking and rolling. And that's okay. And then as long as you know when it's really good for you to work. So like in the morning, I don't schedule any meetings until afternoon, because that's my time where I know if I work from 10 to 11, I will get 3 times as much work done as I will between 2 and 3. So you leverage your time. If you're not a morning person, you just have to, you know, flip it around so that, yeah, let's say you're great between 6 and 7, and that is like, you can just knock stuff out of the park. Then you have to hold that time sacred. You know, I know this happy hour, but, you know, but you have to hold that time when you know, and schedule your life around where you know that you're going to be the most productive. There's nothing right or wrong about early or late. You are what you are.
Yeah, like I've done the get up at 5 or 6, and I've done it for like a week straight, and people are like, you'll be more productive when you get up, and I'm just like,
No.
I'm so unproductive when I get up early.
I'm pretty sure I'm happy I wasn't around, because I'm gonna guess you weren't like Susie Sunshine.
No, I'm very grumpy in the morning.
So yeah, and anyone that says you have to, you know, conform to one of those, no, you don't.
Then again, it does take 21 days to get a habit, though.
It actually takes longer.
Oh, it does?
It does. It takes longer. It's certain habits you can do shorter, but they've shown that the average habit is about 183 days.
What?
I know, isn't that depressing? It's like, oh. But 21 days is a good, you know, because you can wrap your brain around it. If I told you it's gonna take 183 days,
Yeah.
yeah, that's when you have to chart it down and do stuff. But 21 days, for some things, you know, you just get used to it. Yeah, every day I'm going to drink this much water, and after 21 days, you're like, I did last month, August, I did a Facebook Live every day. I was on a challenge. And like the 1st of September, I'm like, okay, I was so used to it, it became an ingrained thing that you're going to do it. So some habits you can do that, shorter ones. Every habit, you need a cue, you need the action, and you need a reward. So if you're gonna do a habit, figure out what your cue is, what the action is, and what your reward is.
So you're a puppy.
You're a puppy. Oh, you're absolutely a puppy. And it works, there's 2 kinds of habits. There's towards habits and away from habits. Did you know that? So a toward habit is moving towards something, eating better, And that could be, that could be a toward and away, because I'm moving towards eating healthier, I'm moving away from eating junk food. So, moving an away habit would be smoking less, drinking less. Moving toward is flossing your teeth more, things like that. So there's towards and away from. And with away from habits, the best thing to do is to make them hard. That's where like the 20-second thing comes in. So you keep your cigarettes in the freezer. If you're trying not to drink, you don't keep booze in the house. If you're junk food, you don't keep junk food in the house. You make it harder. And for towards habits, you make it easier. So if I'm going to eat healthier, then I'm having bowls of fruit on the counter, or chopped up vegetables are the first thing I see when I open the refrigerator. So you want to make a new habit that you're moving towards, you make that easier, and if it's in a way, you make it harder. It's an odd little thing, but it's true. Any other questions?
I heard that a little, yeah.
Well, I overheard, I apologize.
No worries.
In reference to meditation,
Mm-hmm.
I've read and heard and noticed that people are meditating more because for some reason meditation helps to, I guess, develop focus.
Mm-hmm.
What, I guess, is the scientific background we know what that is?
Just that they found, I can't give you all the scientific stuff, but it slows the brain down. It enables you to think on one thing when you're actually not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it just helps to build up neurons, to build up your synapses for just focusing and being quiet. So I can get you research and send it to you if you want.
I can probably find it.
What's that?
I can probably find it.
So I know, in meditation, there's a lot more, a lot more people talk about it now than probably 10 years ago. And it's not, it used to be all this woo-woo stuff, but just, the whole quieting the brain is just, it's really essential when you think about how much stuff we have going on all the time. Screens and people and all the stuff that we get distracted by, but just, quieting the brain, there's nothing ever bad about that. And you can do just the breathing exercise that you can do. If you don't want to meditate, you can do this. It works great to go to sleep. It works great just to take a couple minutes during the day, and you breathe in for 4 counts, and you hold it for 4, and then you just let it out. And what it does is it takes your brain from sympathetic, what's that?
Fight or flight?
It takes you out of fight or flight into just relaxation. So whenever you're just, fight or flight, your parasympathetic nervous system is going crazy, you do that sort of breathing and it will just calm you right down, and you can actually feel it happen. It's good to do when you're in bed if you can't sleep. You just do the 4 in, hold it, and then just 4 out. Nothing rushed. It just will calm you down, put you to sleep. Or during the day, it's as good a kind of meditation as anything else.
Does anyone watch ASAP Science?
What's that?
ASAP Science, it's a YouTube video or YouTube channel that talks about different
I'll have to look at it.
findings. But the video talked about the hypothesis for why people are innately morning or evening people is that it helps protect a tribe more, because
That would make
some
sense.
people need to be awake at all hours of the day. So if everyone's asleep at night, then your tribe is going to be more.
The tribe's not going to make it.
Yeah.
So what's that called? ASAPs?
ASAP Science, ASAP.
Oh, ASAP. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll
Just
have
do
to check that out.
dry erase board explanations. of
Uh-huh.
Different
Oh,
scientific
yeah, I've seen those.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to see that. Oh,
It's really
wow.
fun.
I like that. Wow. Good.
What's the name of your podcast again?
Faster, Easier, Better Show. It's a 10-minute podcast where we talk about ways to do things faster, easier, and better. So I do it, co-host it with my friend Lee Silver, he's an efficiency expert. So we come at it from different angles, and it's pretty funny. We wanted a podcast that we would want to listen to, so there's a lot of laughing. So, but it's short, so you get something out of it, and then you can just go on your day.
You said you have some readings for meditation too that you can share?
I have to send it to you.
Oh.
I can do that. So if you want the 21-day challenge, I'm calling it a challenge, but it's 21 days of productivity. You can just, I will put you in, and you'll automatically start getting it. You know, I don't share, I don't spam. Get my newsletter if you want, just put an X if you don't. So yeah, 21 days of just every day there's a new thing to do. You don't have to do it that day, but it will help you. So yeah, I can send you some stuff on meditation if you'd like. You know, and the thing with meditation is it's whatever works for you. Some people, you know, sit and do the whole, you know, sit like this. Other people just look at a candle, think about it. You sit for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's no right or wrong. All that's important is just quiet your brain. So, yeah, anybody tells you different, they're lying. Yes?
Earlier you mentioned that procrastination starts in the middle of your brain with emotions.
The limbic system, yeah.
What do emotions have to do with?
Well, so what it does is, so the limbic system, you sort of, in your emotion, so the limbic system, midbrain, that's where your fight or flight is. So it's not rational. Your emotions aren't rational. That's not rational. So it's a little misleading when it's, you know, so it's not like, oh, I'm so sad, I'm gonna procrastinate. It's, and you're on there, okay, great. This is it. Oh.
Sorry.
So yeah, it's not that you're happy, you're sad, it's just that's where your emotions are based. It's back there in
Is
here.
procrastination like an emotion? Like you feel before you do it?
No, it's not an emotion, it's an action, or an inaction. Well, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you very much.
And again, all my information's on the bottom. If you have any questions, just feel free to email me, or you can give me a call or whatever. I can help you out.